I will be interviewing my mother on the natural disaster Hurricane Andrew in Louisiana of August of 1992. And your name is?
Bonnie Linden.
So my first question is, how did this natural disaster come about hitting Louisiana?
Okay, on August the 24th, well, it actually originated over in Africa, but by August 24th, it had been declared that it was going to be coming to the state of Florida, and it hit Dade County, Florida on August the 24th and did tremendous damage, affecting many families. And then it made its way up again, got some more strength, and they predicted it was going to hit Louisiana early morning on the 25th of 1992. Matthew's father and I pastored in the city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana during that time period with his other siblings. And so we were told to prepare for the worst because of the damage and the strength that it had got back. And so on the 25th, everybody was readily repairing, but they had said that when it hit the Gulf of Mexico down off of Louisiana, they felt like it was not going to regain strength, but it did. It turned into a tropical storm, plus there were over 14 tornadoes that hit the state of Louisiana. And so on the 25th, we prepared fast and readily and got prepared for it. But you never think it's going to be bad. Well, on the 25th, after the sun went down that night, it was predicted that it was going to affect Baton Rouge. And so on the 25th, we got everything ready to go. And then that night it came, and it looked like it had passed. My husband had gone down by the church. It was a tropical storm, but it literally had a tornado strength wind, and it tore off a third of the church roof right before his eyes. And so we were all very concerned, and we stayed in the house that night just waiting for the worst, of course, but praying for sunshine in the morning. And as we woke up that morning, there was no power. So we had no electricity, and the whole street where we lived on Wilton Drive in Sherwood Forest in Louisiana was dark that night. And from that night on till 7 nights forward, we had no power in Baton Rouge. Over half of the homes in Baton Rouge were without electricity, so it was a major job. They have large trees, and with so much water in Louisiana, they can't grow the deep roots that they can in other areas. And so there were trees down at the beginning of our neighborhood, at the end of our street. You could not get in or out until somebody took a chainsaw and started destroying them, but they were large. So they blocked many, many people in, and then the flooding began. And though the sun was shining, there was a lot of work to be done because tree limbs and people's houses were damaged on our street. Thank God ours was not, just a lot of debris. But across the street, the trees went through their houses, straight through them. And so we all kind of band together to help each other. But then we had to prepare for how are we going to keep our refrigerator going and so on and so forth. But we were unable to do that. We didn't have a generator. We'd only been living in the state of Louisiana probably about a year. And so we did not own a generator. A few of the neighbors had them. They had RVs, and so they would turn on their generators in their RVs. But We did not, nor did the church have power. So we started, like you'd say, we were camping out. And of course, the kids were out of school for over 10 days probably. And we daily would just clean up and try to band together and help those that were worse off than us. But then you had to get ice, and to wait in line to get ice was a major, major project for the day. So it affected Baton Rouge in a way, not like it hit Florida or the Gulf Coast, but we were not comfortable, to say the least, because August 25th, it was very humid, very, you had no air conditioning. And there were, in the state of Louisiana, there were 23,000 homes that were destroyed, damaged, and there were 985 houses that were destroyed, just totally destroyed, and 230,000 people were without power. And so it was an experience I'd never want to live again. And so when they say to get ready, we need to all be aware. And even though one time you may live through something and they said, you know, you think you're going to make it, we need to always pray and believe God that we'll obey and do what He wants us to do during those times and listen to our authorities. So we're thankful that we came out alive and we were able to work and rebuild our neighborhood.
That's interesting. So with the church roof coming off, how much in damage cost did that affect
I don't
the family?
really have the figure, but for our family?
Yeah.
Okay, well the church had insurance, of course, but you just had to go through the process with everybody else. But they had the roofers come out and do a temporary roof with tarps. So thank God it was dry after that for probably 2 or 3 weeks, and everybody was able to just wait their turn and get the services they needed back on.
To go on about other damages, you said my brothers were out of school for 10 days or so. Did the school catch any damages?
Not the schools that they went to, other than probably them just losing power and having to clean up. Yeah. But everybody was, the main thing was being able to keep things cold. And I'll never forget the day when the power came on across the street, how happy everybody was. And it was a few days later and we got ours on. So.
What about, does anybody that you know that died or was severely injured?
No, we've had flooding, because after the tropical storm came through like that, then the water rose, and there were people in Denham Springs, which is a city right next door to Baton Rouge. They experienced flooding.
So how many days did do you remember, did this last?
I would say 7 days where we had no power were the most tremendous.
What was the scariest times of the storm / hurricane?
I think it was that night on the 25th, 26th, when you, at that point, couldn't hear anything more from the newscasters. Back in 1992, we didn't have quite the technology we have now. So when we went to bed because we were exhausted. We just had to lay there and hope that tomorrow would bring a great day, because we already knew at that point that the church had been damaged.
Did your house shake any?
No, but you could hear...
From the strong winds?
No, it didn't shake any, but you could hear the wind. It was strong, strong winds, and you would think it would be like a train going by.
What was it like without... Did any of your food go bad? When you talked about the ice, how did...
Yeah, we lost everything in the refrigerator.
How did food work with 5 people?
Well, we bought canned goods, and we did have a Coleman stove, like I said, the ice, so we would daily have to get new ice and keep milk and cereal and things like that. But it got to the point where if you had to wait for ice for 2 hours, some of the conveniences that we have, we take for granted. And so that was something. And then they tried to gouge people on the cost of it. And then the governor got onto all of them, and they had to stop that.
Well, thank you for letting me interview you. And you have it here, folks, of the 1992 Hurricane Andrew in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.